I found the most outrageous shots from the Gibraltar Open, and this time I can confidently say that because I've chosen all of these shots myself. But which of these shots is the best, or if you like, most outrageous? I'm going to be finding out by accurately recreating all 10 of these shots. But the question is, how many attempts will it take me, and how accurately can I recreate them? We're going to start with Jimmy White, who's picked up some impressive wins in the last few weeks, including this one against Stuart Bingham. And this shot was absolutely crucial to that victory, as he manages to dig himself out of a lot of trouble here and leave the cue ball completely safe. You need to strike the cue ball with a lot of side spin here to make the angle to get the cue ball into the pack of reds. Unfortunately, you can't actually see that part of the cushion, so you need to swerve the cue ball onto it. This makes it very difficult to get the pace of the shot right. I hit a lot too hard and a lot too soft, until eventually I got a little bit lucky. I'm taking it. So usually we don't allow flukes like that, but it's such a hard shot, I don't think I'm ever going to get it right properly, so maybe just this once. It was only going to be a matter of time before we ended up playing a Judd trump shot, and this one looked particularly difficult as he slams the pink in the middle pocket to play the cue ball all the way around the table for a red on the top cushion. Playing the pink in this way makes it very missable, as you have to pot it with a lot of topspin and right hand side to make the angle. And I found out, surprisingly, you didn't have to hit it quite as hard as I thought, and on my third attempt I actually very slightly overhit the shot. Even though this is still a difficult pot, this is probably the only shot on the list that was actually easier than I thought it was going to be. I was a bit surprised there. I didn't have to hit it as hard as I first thought, and other than the fact that I went the wrong side of the black, that red's in the wrong place, and I walked into my new camera mount on the way through the shot, I think that's pretty good. Our next shot's from Jack Lisowski, and this one definitely isn't easier than I thought it was going to be, as I believed it to be just a good long pot and a stun across the table. But in fact the cue ball is very close to the bolt cushion here, meaning you have to strike down on it quite a lot to get enough stun to miss the reds. And this made it extremely challenging, and apart from the odd fluke, this ended up being a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. In the end, I was very happy to get the shot after just 7 attempts. Getting that much backspin on the cue ball when it was so close to the cushion made that a really difficult pot. That was actually a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Lee Hang now playing a crucial plant in his match against Mark Williams that I didn't believe was that difficult until I saw how far apart the reds were. Potting into the middle pocket at this angle is quite difficult, and I wouldn't expect to be able to pot the red and screw back for the black every single time. But these reds were well over a foot apart and offset a little bit, so the only thing I could really do was aim for the far jaw and just hope for the best. And I know Lee was playing this as a shot to nothing, but in getting it, it completely changed the match. Yes. That was insanely difficult. It might not seem like it, but with all the time that took me to put the balls back, that nearly took half an hour. Before our next shot, we're just going to find Sasha from Brest, Belarus, which is there. And unlike in recent weeks, these shots aren't going to get any easier, and this one from Mark Allen simply proves that. He uses a combination of backspin and left-hand side to return the cue ball to bulk while potting the red at the same time. As I discovered pretty quickly with this one, even if I pot the ball, I'm not guaranteed to get enough backspin or side spin on the cue ball to get anywhere near back where I need it to be. And you need to get the right amount of backspin and side spin because of the location of the middle pocket. You can actually get too much backspin on the cue ball and going off. So I need the cue ball to strike the cushion just before the middle pocket with as much side spin as I can get on it if I want to get anywhere near close to getting back for the yellow. Again, this was definitely a lot harder shot than I first gave it credit for.
Yes. That's unfortunately that's about as well as I can play it, I think. There's no way I'm getting back there. No matter what I did there, I just couldn't get enough backspin and side spin on it at the same time, so that's as good as I can do.
Our next shot is only an exhibition shot from Judd, but he still manages to screw the cue ball around two cushions, and the main reason I wanted to have a go at this one is it seemed very similar to the Alex Higgins shot I tried to play last summer and couldn't quite get right. I say couldn't quite, I struggled to get the cue ball within 6 feet of where it needed to finish.
But since then the cushions have worn in a bit and gotten a little bit more bouncy, so I think I'm in with a chance.
This one's played with reverse side, so that means screwing the cue ball back with right hand side to make it spin around the bottom two cushions here. Playing that at pace makes it very missable, but if I get everything right, how close can I get?
I think I do better than that.
It definitely feels like I've got a chance, as my cueing's got quite a bit better since I last gave this a go.
Oh, that's close.
And it definitely feels like I can do it. All I need to do now is make sure I pot the brown.
Oh, that would have been it.
I'm glad I had a go at this again, because the last time I tried it, it didn't feel like I was going to be able to get the cue ball anywhere near where it needed to be on the blue. But now I was definitely getting close. I just needed to strike it perfectly.
That's it. I think that's more or less spot on.
Either way, it's nice to know it's a shot I can now play. The next shot I found is from Lei Peifan, and it's this awkward shot down the cushion against Neil Robertson, where he manages to screw the cue ball back into bulk at the same time. But when you actually go to play it, you quickly realise you need more left-hand side than backspin on this one to get the cue ball to come back off the cushion at the right angle. And unlike the Mark Allen shot, getting the cue ball back to bulk isn't really that much of a challenge here. The difficulty comes from actually trying to pot the ball with that much side spin into such a tight pocket from that angle. I didn't quite cannon the yellow, but that's pretty close to the same shot.
We've seen a few of these shots in recent videos, but the cue ball being that close to the brown made it harder than normal, and on my first attempt I even accidentally hit the brown on the way through.
Thankfully the pot on this next shot from Judd isn't too difficult, however getting the positional side of the shot right is. He cannons the red off the cushion at the same time as leaving himself on a bulk colour. To play this I'm using topspin and a small amount of right hand side. Combined they make the cue ball arc towards the red, and on only my second attempt I managed to get a pretty good result here and finish nicely in position on the green.
I hit the wrong side of the red, but I'm on the green and the red goes into the middle pocket, so I can't really expect any more than that from the shot. We've got another shot from Jack Lisowski coming up after we find Sossegardino in Santorini, Portugal, which is about there.
This one's just a cheeky double after the frame's been won, but what's quite fascinating here is how quickly Jack picks up the angle and plays the shot itself. And to start off with, I couldn't get the red anywhere near the pocket really.
On Jack's shot, he stunned the cue ball right over the middle pocket, and as I should have exactly the same angle, I'm going to give that a go and see what happens.
Well, whatever I did seemed to work anyway. And now to a classic Judd trump shot where he pots the black and spins the cue ball around the other end of the table to come back for some reds. He doesn't get perfectly in position here, but still manages to pot a red on his next shot. I really didn't think this one was going to be too difficult compared with some of the other shots I'd already played. But as it turns out, getting the cue ball in between the brown and yellow and spinning it back the other side of the green actually takes quite a lot of pace out of it, meaning I was struggling to get back down this end of the table. The shot's played with backspin and right hand side to make the angle and to get the cue ball to speed up when it strikes the cushions. Ideally, you want to make the cue ball arc back towards the brown as it heads down the table, which should help it accelerate, but it also seems to take a lot of speed out of the cue ball as well.
I really didn't think it was going to be this one that was going to be causing me a problem. I'm literally throwing my entire body weight at it now. I seem to have enough angle, but it's just not going far enough.
The extra pace on the shot was not only making the pot more difficult, it was making it harder to get the cue ball to go in the right direction. And even when it did go in the right place, I was still a long way short of the top cushion. By this point, I was clearly pushing this one as hard as I could, but it wasn't enough. I managed to get the cue ball most of the way there, but it was still a long way short. But when you think about it, Judd didn't exactly get this in perfect position.
This is probably where Judd would have preferred to have been, so I'm fairly happy with it. I didn't think it was going to be a problem, but I really couldn't hit it any harder. So there we go, the 10 best shots, but it's always interesting to find out if I left anything out. And if you head to the link in the description, you can vote for any one of the shots I just played as your shot of the championships.
But before you go, I'm trying a little experiment. Can you please hit like on this video if you've made it through this far, because it seems to be making a big difference with YouTube at the moment. And if you want to see more videos of me recreating shots, have a look at these two. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website. See you later.